I mean, you're a commodity, right? You're something that the studio owns. And so, really, as long as you survive filming and they've gotten what they needed from you, they don't really care if you drop dead afterwards. It doesn't matter. Do you break an arm, break a leg? And, things like when you're working, you can get really sick. As long as you're not bleeding from your face, you're going to keep working, and people don't understand that. And then in terms of, there's no regard for your physical safety or well-being at all, because it doesn't matter, because you're a means to an end. So they need what they need from you, and then goodbye. Suck it up, tough it up, and we'll see you for the next one.
Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, thank you so much for watching and joining and tuning in with us today. Today we're going to be talking about the one and only Megan Fox. She was one of the biggest it girls in the 2000s, and she is still being talked about till this day. But we're going to be discussing her early Hollywood career and why she fell off the map for a while. Disclaimer, some of the topics discussed in this video today can be considered disturbing and heavy to hear. If you are not comfortable with the conversation of child exploitation, please exit the video. Thank you. Megan Fox was only 5 years old when she began taking many singing and dancing classes. She began to try acting and modeling at the young age of 13, and she won a couple of awards at local talent conventions. Unfortunately, she was bullied by her classmates because of her aspirations to become a famous actress, so that led her to finish her academics through homeschool. Moving to Los Angeles, her debut movie was with the famous Olsen twins in their film Holiday in the Sun, where she plays a spoiled bratty girl named Brianna.
Please.
Certainly, Miss Wallace. And how is your father today?
In the casino. Wondering why this is taking so long?
I'm sorry.
Thank you. And thank you. Next time, take a number.
She was only 15 when she landed her debut role, and that was the start of her career in Hollywood. In the early 2000s, we see Megan appear in some of our favorite teen chick flicks, like Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen with Lindsay Lohan, and notable shows like 2.5 Men and What I Like About You. One of her biggest breakout roles was her character Michaela Baines in 2007's Transformers. She plays the lead love interest to Shia LaBeouf's character Sam. And of course, she is portrayed as the smoking hot girl next door, and this car scene is one of the most notable pictures of Transformers. With the introduction of Michaela, this really pinpointed the moment that Megan Fox became a sex symbol in the early 2000s, and somewhat even considered today. She was continuously portrayed as the hot girl and the love interest, basically being eye candy in every role that she had. She wasn't able to escape that bombshell archetype because everyone used her good looks against her. Megan did feel like she wasn't taken seriously in her career being a woman and the new image of a sex symbol. Take a look at some of the clips of her speaking out.
I don't know if there's a man alive who's not in love with you in some way.
You're so silly.
You know what am I really?
You're a silly man.
No, I'm not silly at all.
You're a silly man in a checkered shirt.
See, now I think you're flirting with me. I'm kidding. Totally kidding. Come on.
Women are scared of a strong, confident penis. Would that be right or wrong?
See, this is good for people to do to me, because then that's really offensive. Like, I'm so offended that you just said that. I was sort of speaking out against some of the abusive, misogynistic, patriarchal things that were going on in Hollywood back in 2008 and 2009, way before people were ready to embrace that or tolerate it.
Transformers, directed by Michael Bay, was a huge box office hit and continued with 6 more movies in the franchise, with the 7th one coming out in 2023. However, there was some tension between the director and Megan. Megan and Michael did not actually meet on their first time at the set of Transformers, but rather a while back in the early 2000s. Michael actually directed Bad Boys 2, where Megan plays an extra as a 15-year-old. But the disturbing part is that he encouraged her to dance near a waterfall in a bikini as a child. Take a look at this clip of her speaking about her experience to Jimmy Kimmel.
Well, he's infamous for being a sort of tyrant, I guess, on set. But the first time I ever worked with him, actually, I had just turned 15 and I was an extra in Bad Boys 2.
Really?
And yeah, they were shooting this club scene. And they brought me in, and I was wearing a Stars and Stripes bikini and a red cowboy hat and like 6-inch heels. And they took me to Mike, and he approved it. And they said, you know, Michael, she's 15, so you can't sit her at the bar, and she can't have a drink in her hand. So his solution to that problem was to then have me dancing underneath a waterfall getting soaking wet. And that's...
Perfectly wholesome.
At 15, I was in 10th grade. So that's sort of a microcosm of how Bay's mind works.
Yeah, well, that's really a microcosm of how all our minds works. But some of us have the decency to repress those thoughts and pretend that they don't exist. Pretend that they don't exist.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
My picture of us together, and I think this just captures our relationship beautifully. Got your tongue out, and I've got my tongue out there.
It's honestly disturbing how dismissive everyone, including Jimmy, seems about the story. It really exposes the weird intentions that Michael Bay had as a grown man with power in Hollywood, trying to get this child to do something that was inappropriate. More tensions between the two rise as they continue to work on the Transformers franchise together. Before the second Transformers movie premiered, Megan had a lot of opinions about the movie and spoke out about it during an interview, stating, "People are well aware that this is not a movie about acting, and once you realize that, it becomes almost fun because you can be in the moment and go, alright, I know that when he calls action, I'm either going to be running or screaming or both." I believe that Megan was disappointed with the range of her role in Transformers because it did not do Michaela justice. Maybe she was tired of being the pretty damsel in distress archetype. She most likely feels underestimated because people pay more attention to her looks rather than her acting. Either way, I respect that she spoke up and wasn't afraid to say something to a huge Hollywood director that could have ended her career right then and there. Michael Bay eventually responded and said, "She says some very ridiculous things because she's 23 years old and she still has a lot of growing to do." Megan continues to have very strong opinions about the Hollywood director and isn't afraid to express them. She even compares him to a certain dictator that I will not mention his name, but he was a terrible person that did terrible things. 2 years later, Megan Fox is fired from the third Transformers movie. It is crazy to believe that it happened because she's a major part of the franchise, but Michael Bay actually did it. Supermodel Rosie Huntington-Whiteley eventually replaced Megan's character and became the new love interest. Meanwhile, headlines were going crazy about Megan's comment comparing Michael Bay to a certain dictator. So everyone put two and two together and figured that Megan was fired because of her comments and disagreements with the director. In 2009, the movie Jennifer's Body premiered, and this was another pivotal moment in Megan's career that led to her becoming a sex symbol. For those of you who haven't seen it, Megan's character Jennifer is a teenage girl who basically preys on the men around her. It sounds really odd, but it's actually a pretty good movie, and it was even referenced in Olivia Rodrigo's music video. This film really depicted Megan in a more promiscuous light, and some of those scenes and pictures are still glorified to this day as the epitome of a baddie. With the public and media hypersexualizing her, it became a part of her image, and she didn't want to be associated with that type of attention. Fast forward, Megan opens up in an interview with Entertainment Tonight about her struggles after Hollywood solidified her as a sex symbol. She even mentions that she tried speaking out about her experiences before the #MeToo movement was created. Unfortunately, no one took her seriously because they believed that she was so promiscuous that she didn't deserve any sympathy because they believed she was asking for attention or deserves that type of treatment.
I was ahead of the Me Too movement by almost a decade.
I was going to include some of the clips from the Glamour interview, but due to copyright reason, I cannot do that. So to summarize what Megan says, she basically says that she spoke out about some of these misogynistic things that were happening in Hollywood years before the Me Too movement became fully embraced, and that she was ridiculed for it, and that it was hard for her to speak up because a lot of women shamed her just because she was kind of the mirror to their own insecurities and they projected things onto her. It is unfortunate that Megan didn't feel accepted in the feminist community and that they treated her that way. She definitely deserves to have a voice and is allowed to speak up about her own experiences as well. She's already been so outspoken about working with Hollywood directors early on in her career, and she's extremely underestimated when it comes to her intelligence. From such a young age, she was already subjected to this hypersexualization, and it took a toll on her mental health. We didn't really hear from her for the past decade because she lived a pretty private life, and she got married young to her former husband and had 3 kids.
I don't know if the psychological breakdown was strictly related to being objectified. I think it was more related to just being dehumanized. So many people around the world are thinking about you or have negative thoughts or intentions towards you. That energy permeates me, it penetrates me. I don't have boundaries and walls for that. I am still human. I am still fragile in that way. I can feel.
But recently, I'm sure you've heard about her more than you have in the past decade, just because she's slowly getting back into her acting career, and her relationship with Machine Gun Kelly is extremely public. Everything I've learned about that couple, I have learned against my own will.
Just a few drops, but yes, we do consume each other's blood on occasion for ritual purposes.
I was in pure shock. I thought I might have misheard.
Megan is definitely making a comeback in her acting career though. She was in New Girl for a bit, and she was even in the 2014 Ninja Turtles movie. The most recent film she appeared in was Till Death, where she played the lead protagonist. It's a 2021 thriller drama movie where her character is pretty badass and smart. It was nice to see her portrayed in a different light and actually have the main character of a thriller movie make good decisions for once. But as of recently, I haven't heard of any new projects that she's going to be in, but I definitely think that after her break from acting, she's ready to return and reclaim her power. At the Met Gala, she told Keke Palmer during an interview that she felt power embracing her beauty.
I have to ask you, because you're known as a sex symbol, and I imagine that could be an enormous amount of pressure at times. How has that influenced positively or negatively your fashion choices?
I feel like I've always leaned into it. I'm not afraid to be sexy. I think a woman who's intelligent and also knows how to weaponize her beauty, there's nothing.
Come on, Jennifer's body.
There's nothing more dangerous than that. There's nothing more powerful than that. And so I think I feel like all women should embrace the fact that as the divine feminine, we have a lot of power in that. Instead of rejecting it, I'm happy to embrace it and go for the sexy.
I'm really glad that Megan is embracing her beauty, but not letting it overshadow her accomplishments and intelligence. She's a beautiful woman, but definitely has more substance to her than just that. I look forward to seeing more projects that she'll be featured in once she's ready to make a full return to acting. It's unfortunate that Hollywood failed her and basically shut her up just because she has a pretty face. This isn't the first time that Hollywood put a label or a box on an actor, but I'm happy to see that Megan is slowly breaking that bombshell archetype and demonstrating that she can be more than just a sexy character. So that's it for today's video. Thank you all for watching, and let me know what your thoughts are on this story down below.